With the threat of the third wave of COVID-19 pandemic looming large in India, its impact on children is an important question confronting us. Additionally, it's important to know the preventive measures and methods of treatment followed in case of infection amongst children. To shed light upon this topic, we've got some top-notch pediatricians from Manipal Hospitals, Delhi. We've got Dr. Vikas Taneja, Head of Pediatrics, Dr. Vikram Gagneja, Consultant Pediatrics and Intensivist, Dr. Neeta Kejriwal, Consultant Pediatrics, and Dr. Himanshu Batra, Consultant Pediatrics. First things first, for the uninitiated, why is it being suspected that the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic is going to be more severe on children? Dr. Taneja.
The first wave, after the lockdown was over, we saw the people just started going out and the numbers gradually started building up. So in Delhi in September 2020, we saw a huge rise in number of cases. And at that point of time, almost 4% of children were also infected during that phase. Going by the second wave, we have all seen what we have gone through, and it was a hell lot of time for all of us. And during the second wave, the numbers went beyond limits, and we almost saw up to 1 lakh cases per day also coming up. And as per the statistics, we had almost 8 to 10% children which got infected during the second wave. So going by sheer logic, if we look at in the first wave, we had about 4% children who got infected. Second wave came around 6 months later, where we had almost 8 to 10% children got affected. So based on this criteria only, experts are anticipating that during the third wave, in another 3 to 6 months, we may have where the children would get, the numbers would be much more. And the other thing is that vaccination also is mainly for adults. But if we actually look at, this is contrary to the fact that there has been a study which has been done by the All India Institute of Medical Sciences and WHO. Now this study, which has been done from March to June 2021, they have looked at 10,000 children across 5 different states in the country, and what they have found out is that the seropositivity rate among children has been up to the tune of 60 to 65%. Now this actually tells us that the children have already been exposed and they have developed antibodies against children. So against the COVID virus. So this definitely gives us some point that yes, we are definitely anticipating a third wave, but children may not get severely affected as is being told by the experts. So this only time will tell, but yes, from preparations point of view, we definitely need to be prepared so that we don't see that type of situation which we saw in the second wave.
Well, the children too have consumed a significant amount of information pertaining to COVID. But in case of infection, what role, Dr. Neeta, would you advise the parents to play to ensure that while there is precaution, but there's no undue fear?
Yeah, in this regard, I would request parents to provide factual information to the children about COVID and COVID norms, like to tell them what is COVID, what are the preventive measures, how it spreads. And also parents should play a role model in the preventive measures so that it is easy for the children to follow it. Secondly, it is very important that we tell the children about the isolation plan in case any family member contract the disease. Then also tell them that most of the time COVID is a mild disease and most recover very soon.
Dr. Himanshu, coming back to you, in case of COVID positive children, what are the vital parameters that the parents need to keep a tab on?
In children who are tested positive for COVID and advised home isolation, that is mild symptomatic cases, few parameters need to be monitored regularly, and parents should ideally maintain a chart of those things so that they can easily convey their finding daily to the healthcare provider. The parameters which need to be monitored regularly are fever pattern, heart rate, respiratory rate, and the oxygen level at rest. And also in the elder children, they can do a 6-minute walk test. In smaller infants, they have to, along with this thing, keep a note on the feeding pattern, activity and crying as well. And in the elder children, they can also make a column on how child is feeling himself, because that will tell us a more idea.
And also, Dr. Himanshu would request you to elaborate on the treatment administered to COVID positive children.
Treatment of mild symptomatic cases which are managed at home is just a symptomatic management for the fever with the paracetamol, and for the throat complaint they can do gargle, especially adult children, and for the nasal blockage or cold they can take normal cold medication. So these are the medicine which are needed for symptomatic relief. Along with that, they have to ensure adequate liquid intake and eat a balanced diet. For smaller infants, they have to focus on the breastfeeding and normal diet, whatever they are taking. Along with this thing, more focus will be on the monitoring, whether the disease is progressing toward a moderate category, and they can easily monitor that with the counting respiratory rate, temperature pattern, oxygen level at home. In the mild category, we don't actually need any medication like hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, ivermectin, no role of any steroids, as well as no blood thinners, and also there is no role of antiviral medication like remdesivir or favipiravir. Only in moderate cases, which is 10 to 20% of the cases, who are having fast breathing and along with that oxygen level is less than 94, but it is still more than 90%. These kids need to be hospitalized, and in the hospital, after hospitalization, they will be monitored for the progression of the illness, and along with that oxygen is supplemented to maintain saturation above 94%, symptomatic management of the fever, and if needed antibiotic for any superadded bacterial infection. Only in case if we find that disease is progressing very rapidly based on few investigation and clinical finding, then steroids need to be given in those moderate cases. Severe cases are those in which oxygen saturation level is dropping below 90%. They can be either have severe pneumonia or also they can have sometimes multi-organ dysfunction or shock. So in these cases we require along with the oxygen sometimes ventilatory support, either it is non-invasive or sometimes invasive ventilation if child is progressing into acute respiratory distress syndrome. In these severe categories, steroids has a definite role, and along with that, medicine to prevent blood clotting needs to be given. Overall prognosis of COVID in children is very good, and hardly less than 1% deaths have been reported so far globally.
Dr. Vikram, post these second wave cases of MSC have been reported amongst children, and it becomes particularly a challenge in cases where parents were not aware of their kids being infected with coronavirus in the first place. So what exactly is MSC and what can facilitate its early detection?
MSC is not a single disease, it is a syndrome. Syndrome means there are multiple systems are involved in varying degree. So just to highlight few signs and symptoms of MSC, they usually have fever which is persistent for more than 3 to 4 days. Association with that, they have red eyes, they can have swelling of the neck, they can have rash on the body, and there can be a redness of lips and oral cavity. The child can be very much irritable, and in severe cases they present with low blood pressure or breathing difficulty. It is not necessary that every kid who develop COVID infection, which can be either asymptomatically or symptomatically, that he is going to develop MIC. MIC is still a very uncommon disease. The incidence which has been reported lately is around 1 in 50,000 cases the MIC happen, and MIC is a syndrome where there is a multiple clinical signs and symptoms, so we need to club all these together to make a diagnosis of MIC. Any patient who develop fever which is persistent within 2 to 6 weeks of recovering from COVID, we start suspecting MIC, and once we rule out other common infection, we send test as per MIC protocol, and once they become positive, we plan the management.
And also, how is MSC treated, and does it have any long-term implications as well? Dr. Vikram.
Yeah, MSC is treated with immunomodulatory therapy. The present evidence shows that it responds very well to steroids and intravenous immunoglobulin. The mortality is very rare, it is less than 1%. Most of the children recover with very good recovery, and they don't have any long-term sequelae for that also.
Dr. Neeta, what can be done to help children strengthen their immunity so that they are better equipped to handle COVID in case they do get infected by it?
The immunity in children is not COVID specific. It's about general immunity. COVID specific immunity only will come through infection or through COVID vaccination. So for general immunity, parents are giving for last 1.5 years, parents are giving supplements, vitamin D, multivitamins, vitamin C.
By cutting down on their physical interactions, be it in school or at playgrounds, the COVID-19 pandemic has taken a toll on children. Dr. Neeta, what can be done to keep the children in the right frame of mind?
For this, keep a structured daily schedule for yourself and all the family members in the family. Keep the children engaged in play activities, board games, music, cooking, gardening, anything which they enjoy. Do things together. Give them good nutrition, ensure adequate sleep and exercise. Very important is keep communication channel open to them, listen to them, validate their emotions and take adequate steps to tackle it. And if needed, do take the help of mental health professionals.
In case the third wave does strike, Dr. Taneja, how well is Manipal Hospitals prepared to deal with it?
Yes, we need to be more prepared for the third wave, and government is taking all the required steps from their end. At Manipal Hospital also, along with the administration, we have started our preparations. Few important things: we definitely have a very strong ER support as well as our Manipal ambulance services. This proved to be a very important point during the second wave also, and our ER was one area which handled the maximum number of COVID patients. Second, we have almost kept our pediatric COVID team ready. We have divided them into two parts and we have also pediatric COVID backup teams. Third, we have dedicated pediatric intensivists as well as subspecialists to provide round the cover to all the patients who will be coming here. Fourth, we are trying to ensure that we have a complete list of all the equipments and consumables which are required and which are available in the hospital, so that we don't rush at the last moment to get the different things. We are trying to ensure adequate supplies of the drugs and consumables, as well as making an arrangement so that in case we feel shortage, then they can be arranged in the shortest possible time. Last but not the least, we are in constant touch with the administration to increase even our number of ICU beds if required, in the way we did during the second wave.
That's pretty assuring. We hope that with better preparedness, we are able to soften the blows of the subsequent waves of this pandemic in case they do strike. And on that note, we'd like to conclude this conversation. Thank you so much for imparting insight on the subject. Thank you.